Hello, my name is Octavius with North American Archery. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. In this video, I want to talk to you about hunting, shooting techniques. Hunting, shooting techniques. Now, why am I calling it techniques? Because there's multiple shooting techniques that you will use as a hunter, especially in traditional archery. You see, when I was a compound shooter, what I typically did is I went and I knocked my arrow, okay? And I drew back my bow with my release. I usually used one that was a release, like a trigger release. And I came back to anchor. I held, put my sight pin on it. And as soon as the animal was in a good situation, I let it walk until it was in front of me. And then what I did is I put that pin on the vitals and I made a noise like, meh. It stopped, and then I pulled the trigger and then the arrow went where I was looking. That is how a compound shooter shoots their bow. Nothing wrong with that if you are a compound shooter. Now, if you are a recurve or a longbow shooter, or you wanting to make the transition into being a longbow or recurve shooter, okay, you are going to have to adjust in one critical way. You're going to have to find a repeatable shot process, and you're going to have to begin to shoot different techniques in order to get the job done in the woods. Period. In the story. There are so many ways to kill an animal with a longbow or a recurve. That is part of the reason why I made the transition to traditional archery, because I wanted versatility in the woods when I was hunting. I felt trapped as a compound bow hunter into going back, anchoring, looking through my my sight, and then getting my right pin and putting it on the vitals. All that stuff was fine if you hunt one particular way, but when you want to spot and stalk, when you want to shoot from a deer blind, you want to shoot from a tree stand, you want to jump out of a side-by-side or an ATV and grab your bow and shoot an actual animal because you saw him when you were glassing, whatever it was, I felt trapped because I had so many process steps in my shot process as a compound shooter. When you are a longbow or recurve shooter, you begin to understand that you have this superpower now that propels you into making shots on a dime, instinctually, a lot of times. I just went on a hog hunt several months ago, and I was able to shoot a hog on the run. He was jogging through the woods. A herd of them came, and one came out from out of the pack. It was a boar about 120 pounds, and I made a great shot on him, but he was running basically through the woods, and I was tracking him as I'm looking at him come down. I'm tracking him, and I'm following him, and then as soon as he comes up, boom, I'm up on him, and it smoked him. I was not able to snap shoot with a compound bow. Now, if you're a person that wants a challenge, you want to go to a longbow or recurve. I'm a person that likes a challenge. I don't want to be bored hunting. I'm always challenging myself, making it hard on me and easier on the animal to make it fair, okay? Nothing wrong with going with a rifle, a shotgun, an AR, or a compound bow or crossbow, but I prefer to go with traditional equipment. With that said, I have a target set up right over here to my left. You're right, okay? And my goal is to show you something that's going to help you as a traditional archer or traditional bow hunter. Once you get your shot process down, which your shot process should be repeatable, and it should consist of these things: making sure your bow arm comes up the same way every time. Make sure you grip the bow the same way every time, okay? Make sure you hook the string with your fingers the same way every time. Make sure that when you draw back, it's even the same way every time. When you hit your anchor point, make sure you anchor at the same place every time. Make sure you get your bow arm, your actual draw arm back, and your scapula or your shoulders rotated all the way the same way every time. And get that proper back tension the same way every time. And release the same way every time with a follow through or a I keep my hand on my face, so then I touch my face. I don't go back like a lot of guys do, but I don't pluck away from my face. I don't go down. I don't go up. My actual bow hand, as you see, when I shoot, it never really leaves my face. It just boom. When I let go, it goes back. My back tension is right, and it goes back like this. You should always have a back forward motion every single time. And when you release that arrow, it needs to be where you're looking, okay? Now, there's multiple different ways to line up your arrow. Some guys will look at the tip. Some guys will look at the shaft. Some guys will say that they're completely instinctively shooting. If you shut the lights off and you can't hit nothing in front of your face, you're not instinctively shooting. Because the thing is what I mean by that is a lot of guys will say they never pay attention to their arrow. You do, okay? There's no way possible that I have found for you not to pay attention to your arrow, because when you're looking down your arrow, okay, or you're looking in this part of the riser, which is highlighting your sight window, when you look past this riser to what you're shooting at, okay, you're still in your peripheral, have this arrow, okay, the tip in your sight picture. So you're going to see the arrow. But a lot of guys will say they never pay attention to the arrow. I do, because I shoot split vision, which means I have one eye on the target and one eye on my arrow. That is probably how most guys say they instinctively shoot, if you really break it down. I don't judge the distance by gap shooting. I don't do any of those things, but I do instinctively shoot, but I do pay attention to my arrow, and I do look at the actual target. So a lot of guys that claim to be purist, they will say that that is not instinctively shooting. I don't care. It is instinctively shooting, because I'm an awesome compound shooter. I haven't shot in years, but I was pretty good when I shot with a compound bow. And that is, okay, for sure not instinctual. This is instinctual, okay, because I am not using sight pins. I'm not using my arrow to gauge the distance on my target. I'm not gap shooting. I'm not string walking. I'm not doing any of those things. So once you know all those steps and your shot process is the way it is, and you can repeat that shot process from how you grip the bow, okay, how you look down your arrow, okay, how you focus on your target, okay, how you bring your bow arm up, how you grip the string, how you pull back your actual draw sequence, how you anchor, how you release, how you follow through, all those things should be solid. Once you get that down, you need to begin to start to shoot different techniques that I'm going to show you right now, okay? These different techniques are 3 different techniques that I use. Number 1 is the static draw, okay? Number 1 is the static draw. Number 2 would be the push-pull method, or the swing draw that Howard Hill, John Schultz would use. And number 3 is just pretty much snap shooting, like I shot that hog in the woods in Oklahoma. So when you have your shot process down, now you're able to shoot different ways, because you have that muscle memory and you are confident in your shot process, which is going to propel you to make shots instinctually in pressure situations. So let me shoot the first arrow, okay? This first arrow is going to be the static version. You see a lot of guys come in like this, and they line their arrow up, and then they draw back, anchor, and release. You can see my bow arm is still up, and my hand that I drew the string back is still in my face. That's a follow through. That's my shot process. I did that without even thinking about it, right? But that's a lot of guys, they will hold on it, draw back. That right there, that technique is great for a deer blind and a lot of times in a tree stand. It's not as good sometimes for spot and stalking or if an animal's on the move. It's just not, okay? So it's limited in what it can do. And so a lot of guys won't make shots on certain animals in certain situations because their shot process is no longer valid. Your shot process are those steps I talked to you before in the video. Once you get that down, now you need to take that, translate it while on video so you can critique yourself. That's what I do. And then begin to see if you can keep your form shooting different techniques. The second one is going to be the swing draw method. So the swing draw method is you stand like this. Let's say you see an animal. You're going to come up, you're going to push and pull. You're going to swing it up and draw, okay? So you see an animal come up. That's how it's going to be. You just go up, swing, shoot, okay? That's another method. And then the other one is snap shooting, which is typically a swing draw method, but very, very fast. There is no hold at all, okay? You can do it statically, but typically you're shooting quick. So you're shooting at a bird, you're shooting at a rabbit, you're shooting at a deer on the run, you're shooting at a hog on the run. This takes practice, but it's very doable. And so basically when you come up, you basically, as soon as you hit anchor, you let that arrow go. Just like that. You're gone. Okay? As soon as I hit anchor, boom, arrow's gone. So those are the main shooting techniques for hunting situations that I've found. Number one, just to recap, would be static, where you would have your bow arm up, pull back, and you shoot. Number two would be the swing draw method, made famous by Howard Hill, John Schultz, and others. And number three would be snap shooting, which you would bring your bow arm up and you would hit anchor, and as soon as you hit anchor, you already have your shot made and you let the arrow go. These things you have to be able to practice. The best way that I know how to practice snap shooting is with a moving target. So you want to get a bottle, put it on the string, and you want to push it back and forth, something that's on a tree limb or something like that with a backstop, and it's just swaying back and forth, and then you shoot on it quickly as it's moving. That's a very good way to practice snap shooting. Practicing the swing draw method, it's just in your backyard. Bring your bow arm up, focus on your spot, and then let it go. Swing draw method is very doable, and you can hold for 2 seconds, or you can let it go immediately. That swing draw method's great, especially when you're in the woods, spot stalking. You can just raise up, you're good to go. Then you got your static, where you put your bow arm up, and then you put your bow arm up, and let me show you this again, and you go like this, and then you just pull back, and you hold, okay? When you put your bow arm up, and then you pull back consistently, those situations are usually where you have time to do it in a deer blind or a tree stand, okay? So I want you to practice these shooting techniques. First of all, get your shot process down, shoot into a hay bale, shoot into a bag target repeatedly over and over and over again on video, and critique yourself. Once you get that done, and you know you're confident, move on to the next step and try to diversify a static draw, a swing draw, and then go over to snap shooting as well. These are shooting techniques, right? And then you could also go into kneeling, laying down, uh, being on your back to shoot underneath some bushes or something like that. Challenge yourself. Shoot from an elevated position like you're being in a deer stand. These things are going to get you ready for killing deer, hogs, moose, elk, whatever it is you want to hunt, right? You might be somebody who want to go over to Africa. You have the ability to do anything you want when you shoot different techniques with a repeatable shot process. I have a video on the shot process. I'm probably going to update it a little bit because I've realized over the years and since the last 4 months since I started this channel, really, that I have a shot process, but the technique on how I execute that shot process will change depending on the hunting situation. So guys, please like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to help you any way we can. I don't pretend to know everything, but I've killed a lot of animals with traditional equipment. I've killed a lot of animals with archery equipment in general, right? I just killed 2 hogs this year, 2 boars with a longbow, okay? I don't have any footage of it, but I just did it, right? I'm always looking to kill animals throughout the year with my traditional equipment because that's why I practice. That's what puts meat in my freezer. I have meat in the freezer. I just finished up the last bit of my deer from last year, and I'm almost done with the hogs I've killed this year already. I'm always eating the animals, and I'm big on conservation, and I'm big on keeping populations down of invasive animals as well as animals that you can hit with a car, which is like deer, right? So I will eat the animal or I'll donate the meat, right? So I'm all around a bow hunter. However, I had to learn to practice shooting traditional equipment with shooting techniques rather than a shot process that locks me in to shooting one way, and it has no versatility in high pressure situations that might present themselves that I can't control. Okay, so guys, remember to like and subscribe, and also understand you don't have to get ready when you stay ready. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.